Good evening, everybody. Welcome to MacYak. How are we doing this evening? Thank you for joining us. So I am both, let me think here, I'm producer and the announcer, the person who set everything up, and it looks like I am MacYak. Oh, wait, look at this. There's somebody else here. How you doing, Bruce?
Mike, but your mic is gone.
My mic is gone. Where is How about now? Any better?
It's very echoey. What it had before is the buzz. So I'm just getting my audio situation sorted here.
Let's try that.
Someone just dumped a fucking emergency job on me just a few moments ago, so I'm desperately trying to do that at the same time as doing this. So okay, let me just turn this down.
So what's going on, everybody?
Okay, so that's that. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's better. God, that was.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Okay, let me see if I can figure this fucking thing out.
Bruce, language.
That's a new record. Demonetized in 2 minutes?
There, we'll try that now. Hopefully my mic won't be as hot.
What the fuck is going on here? Use a ref code.
So, welcome to MacYak. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Oh, we live.
We've been live.
I didn't even see the intro.
That's because you were late.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's 2 minutes after 8. You guys yell at me if I don't start at 5 minutes before 8 o'clock. So I
wasn't here to yell at anybody.
I promise you, I have never yelled at you for starting late.
Yeah, okay. Bruce has given me plenty of F-bombs because I fall asleep on the job. Quite literally.
Typically after the fact, though.
So we are MacYak. We have absolutely nothing to yak about. So we're going to try our best to BS our way through an hour and a half. And for any of those who know us as well as anybody, you should know that this should not be difficult.
Yes. I can
And
talk about
if we find that we're running short, we'll just put the camera on the cat and we'll be good for another half an hour.
At least.
So, hi everyone. So where is everyone? We've got Steve is, I think, going to be joining us a little bit later. Is that correct?
Steve might be here. Steve might not be here. Steve doesn't know.
Dana can't make it. He has to work late. GT is feeling unwell. Grootey is trapped under something. And so it is just us three today. And as you can tell from my entry into the show, I didn't actually realize we were live. So, been up to anything interesting lately, Mike?
Well, I've been working. Got some new tires on my company car. I disassembled an NCR laptop last night.
I vaguely remember seeing, was there some live streaming from you lately?
Yeah, I did last night, and I'm probably going to do another one this weekend.
And have you made progress? I believe you were trying to fix something. Is that correct?
Well, progress is a
relative term.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I have sort of accomplished something. I mean, I did get my MacBook Air running last night, so that's a good start. Although Jay informed me today that I won't be needing it after probably the weekend. So he was finally able to fix my MacBook Pro, thank God. So I can get that back. So,
okay.
But yeah, I have some stuff. I mean, you can see stuff in the background here that will be prominently displayed on a live stream near you. Might be working on the smaller iMac back here this weekend.
Excellent.
So,
what is that there behind the cat?
Yes, the one behind the cat.
That looks tiny. It must just be further away than it looks.
It's a 24 inch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it must just be a bit of forced perspective going on there because it looks tiny.
This camera is a piece of crap, so
okay.
That doesn't help either. But there's my iMac G5, of course. That never leaves my desk. There's a 24, and then there's a 27-inch back here. I think I'm going to work. I'm going to fix one for myself and give one to a friend of mine. So I think I'm going to keep the 24-inch because I find the 27-inch is actually too big for this desk here.
Okay, fair enough.
For what I want to do, I don't really need the real estate of the screen. I just need the ability for it to run Mojave.
What year is it?
The 27-inch is a 2011. The 21-inch is a 2012.
I'll trade you the 27 for a 2013 MacBook Pro I got.
I need to give one to my friend. And the 27-inch is an i3.
Oh, keep it.
So it actually doesn't work. It doesn't run half bad, actually. But yeah, it's definitely a little lacking. And my friend who wants a more up-to-date Mac, he's still using his 2007 iMac with the Core 2 Duo in it. So
I mean, we know how sort of solid and reliable those Core 2 Duos are, but you sort of feel in this day and age, it's probably time to update. So
yeah, the older acrylic, the white model iMacs, they're getting pretty long in the tooth. Now, the last generation Macs with Core 2 Duos in them are actually not just too bad. With the ones that were the Penryn base, I think they were the T7200s. But the very last ones actually aren't really that bad. I mean, they're still quite. I mean, they're slow, but compared to the first generation Core series processors, I'd say they're almost equivalent.
Anything's better than a MacBook Air.
Yeah, I disagree. I still have an old 17-inch Core 2 Duo, the dual 3 gigahertz one, and it's amazing how usable that is with an SSD in it and a decent amount of RAM installed. It's
you can light them up and kick them in the rear. I mean, I use that. Jay sold me his old 17-inch MacBook Pro. That was a 2009. That had a Core 2 Duo in it, and it ran fine. It ran hot as hell, but it ran.
Oh yeah, they definitely cook your legs.
I mean, I mean, I've had that thing on my lap several times. Believe me, I am not having kids the rest of my life.
Isn't the warmth meant to be good? I'm not sure. No, it's the cold, isn't it? Yeah, got to freeze them.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't need any more kids. The 2 that I have are plenty, and the 7 hairballs. Yeah, I'm done.
And Jay, how about you? Have you been up to anything interesting over the past 2 weeks or fortnight?
I cleaned up my work area, made it accessible again, and I've actually done 2 repairs in the last 24 hours. So
what?
Yeah, more than I've done in the last.
Yes,
9
I know.
months.
Hell is freezing over.
What did you repair? My goodness.
2013 MacBook Pro and a 2012 MacBook Pro.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what was wrong with the 2013 MacBook Pro?
Apple.
Yeah.
Being cheap.
Yeah.
It's once you know what to look for, and luckily there's resources online that tell you exactly what to look for with certain hardware faults. Soldering iron, little board repair, you're good as new. But if you would have taken this back to Apple back in the day, they would have charged you hundreds for a new board. It's crazy.
So now you told me last night that you baked it. You want to explain that?
Yeah, well, after the repair, I run it through the cleaner. Ooh, yes, please. Thank you. Can I keep it? Hold on.
Where's my Coke?
I'm being granted 1 sip here.
That's a bit tough.
Did you get me one? Take that as a no. Thanks. After I work on the board, I run it through the cleaner. Then I rinse it with distilled water, and then I toss it in the oven to dry it off. So I baked it.
Oh, you literally did bake it. Oh, okay.
I literally baked it.
Oh, okay.
That
makes me feel warm and fuzzy. By the way, the 2013 MacBook Pro he's talking about is mine.
Oh, and I found Garth. He sent me a board about 1.5 years ago. I found that as well. So, yep, progress.
Cool. It's nice to see that you can actually see your desk in the back. That's,
Well, that's my work desk. I kind of have to.
It's
keep that clean.
it's very aesthetically pleasing with the rear backlighting and the Windows logo all over the screen and
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the first things I removed. There's all kinds of stuff you can install on a PC to make it look and feel like a Mac. It's the first thing I did.
I'll have to get them a few because I'll tell you what, my Windows feels like Windows. So
Yeah, the first thing
apart
I
from
did, I want a black mouse pointer. I can't deal with it
okay.
being white. So that's the first thing I did. Then, of course, the wallpaper, the what's it called on Windows? The Finder, the desktop icons, changed all that. Of course, the
Explorer? Do they
screen-
call it Explorer? Something like that?
it's just
thought
called
Explorer.
it's just called the desktop.
Desktop.
original, creative.
Yeah.
So yeah, IT is not happy with me, but I'm the one that has to use it. So screw them.
Fair
Y'all
enough.
live.
Somebody ban David, please. Thank you.
Dear. So I have also had a couple of things happening lately. We have filmed our second episode of Startup Disc is Full. If you haven't checked it out, you should. This is the episode here. I'm going to paste it into the chart. It is... Oh, an error occurred. This is usually temporary. Wait a moment, then try again. 3, 2, 1. Try again. Hey! And so if anyone wants to check that out, please subscribe to the channel. It is a pre-recorded show. It is a general tech chat, not specifically about Macs. We have vowed that once we hit 100 subscribers, we will do a live show. So you've got to subscribe. Tell your friends. Get them to subscribe. Otherwise, you'll never get to see the live show.
Subscribe or else.
Yeah, that's right. We, the subscriptions have been fairly slow, as have the views. We're convinced that that's not because the show is bad. That's just because it hasn't found its audience yet.
Show is incredible. It's definitely not the content or the people in it.
Well, it has to be better than this one because I'm not in it.
Dear. Thank you, Starbuck Tech, for that. So we got topics? I mean,
I don't know. I haven't even opened the notes yet.
I have. They're very distracting.
Well,
Unfortunately.
I opened them, but I didn't scroll very far.
Yeah. So we have a little system in here where, on a fortnightly basis, Mike places some distracting images at the top of the notes, and there they are, and they're very distracting. Okay.
Well, I'm glad I'm good for something at least.
So now something that has happened between, I think, the last show and this show is that Ventura has officially been released, or had that already happened last week? Last show.
No, I think it happened on Friday.
Yeah, and so has anyone here installed it?
Jay has.
What do you think, Jay? What are your thoughts?
First of all, what are you running it on?
I use it on a 2015 MacBook Pro that is just sitting there for while I'm very busy working. I need to occasionally, watch
And
YouTube.
that is a natively supported machine?
No, it is not. It's the I have to open core it.
I wasn't sure because your rate, you got to be pretty close to the line there.
Monterey was the last supported on that thing.
Okay.
So yeah, I had to open core it. The new open core legacy patcher is working great, at least for this model. They still have a bunch of models to figure out, but and Ventura so far it froze once yesterday. Suddenly the whole system locked up out of nowhere, and I had to restart. But for the 2 apps I run on it, it's been stable for the last week. I think it's been so not bad.
Interesting. Are you running any, Bluetooth devices on it or anything like that? Just out of curiosity.
I am not. No. Well,
Okay.
Bluetooth is on because it unlocks with my watch, but that's the only thing I use Bluetooth for.
The only reason I ask that is this is something that happened with me with Monterey, and it really didn't like my Logitech Bluetooth keyboard. As soon as I changed it back to Big Sur, no problem at all. So that was a little frustrating, but Other than that, I mean, I run Monterey on one of my laptops, and I will probably put Ventura on that as well. And it runs pretty well. So yeah, no real complaints. Oh, we've lost audio. Wait, Jay's muted.
Why? Who muted me?
It wasn't me. I don't think
For a first release new operating system, I'm surprised it is as stable as it is. Again, I'm not a power user on that laptop. YouTube, Notes. I think that's it. That's the only two apps I use. So far, so good. Hopefully, it'll mature nicely, and hopefully, Martin Lowe and the other Open Core for the Mac Pro guys will figure out how to get it running on our classic Mac Pros. And if it's nice and stable, definitely see it as a good upgrade down the road. The only thing I can't get used to is the new system preferences or system settings. It's a hot mess.
Yeah, but that was, didn't they change it in Monterey as well? Or was it just Ventura? I can't remember. They got it all running down the left side now rather than across in tiles. I think that's how. Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, I mean, we've just been doing it the other way for so bloody long. I mean, whether the new way is more efficient or what, I don't know. But I mean, it's like this.
It is.
What happens when you
can cram a lot more information in it because you could just scroll down. But yeah, in cramming so much info in it, it becomes pretty messy. But if you're used to iPad and iOS, it kind of makes more sense that way. I just don't like, and I've been fighting it for years, that iOSification of the Mac. I just don't like it. I want separate experiences, but nothing we can do to stop it anyway.
Yep. Progress.
Yeah. Innovation.
Yes,
Innovation, my ass.
I must confess that I haven't done anything with Ventura at this stage. I do plan to, but it's not high on my priority list at the moment. An interesting thing that did happen to me over the last couple of weeks is my wife's laptop, which I think is a 2012, I think, something like that, i5, something like that. It was one that I got for nothing, and it was working, and she started having a lot of problems with it, and she was like, I need something reliable. And she was actually umming and ahhing about getting a brand new one, getting a sort of a one of the actual brands making new ones, but she really wanted a big screen, 16-inch screen. And if you want a 16-inch screen of one of the new laptops here in Australia, you're looking at about $4,000 to $4,500 Australian dollars. Now, that just wasn't really an option to fork out that much.
It's pocket change. Come on.
So then the next option was to go for a second-hand one, but at the same time, wanting to make sure it was one that we're going to get a reasonable amount of longevity from. And so I ended up going with a 2019 MacBook Pro 16-inch. I think they call it the CTO version or something like that, which has has 64 gigs of RAM, and it's an i9 CPU, and it really flies. So it's a very, very nice unit. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Picked it up secondhand the other day from a guy here in Sydney, and it really flies, to the point that I ran the old Geekbench on it, and it is faster than my Mac Pro, and that has had a significant effect on my mental health.
I bet. Yeah.
Knowing that this thing in here is no longer the fastest Mac in the house. It's very, very frustrating. So, but anyway.
there's stuff you can kind of think about to make yourself feel better. If there's ever a tornado, your Mac will stand there.
Yes,
that laptop will be gone.
This is true.
Liquid damage, bit more of a risk on the laptop than on a Mac Pro. There's stuff you can think about to make yourself feel better.
Yeah. If my wife drops her laptop, there's fear of her damaging her laptop. If I drop my Mac Pro, there's fear of damaging the floor.
Yeah, you need an additional 16 terabytes. Just plug and play.
It
needs external hard drive. So, yeah, if you think about it, it's really a piece of crap, that laptop.
Well, I sort of the first thing I had to do when I got it was go out and buy a little dongle thing that has 4 USB-A port, 3 USB-A ports on it, and an Ethernet port. Because obviously, what this laptop does not have is Ethernet, and it does not have USB-A ports.
No FireWire.
No FireWire. This is true. And so, that was sort of like, it was that, I basically got the thing home, and I virtually couldn't. I needed to transfer data from another computer, and I was unable to do so because I didn't have the right cables or anything like that. So I literally had to go out the next day and buy stuff so that I could plug things into it. So that was a new experience for me.
What OS did you put on it?
Sorry, I ended up putting Big Sur on it.
Nice.
And I did that mainly because of my experience with Big Sur on my streaming Mac. It seems to run really well. It seems to be nice and solid and stable. My wife is doing mainly, she's not having to use the absolute latest and greatest of software. So everything that she uses is quite happy on Big Sur. We may look at updating it to, Monterey or Ventura in the future. But at the moment, Big Sur is running quite happily. So,
Cool. Tell her that I said she is spoiled.
Yes, definitely spoiled. Well, she paid for it, so.
Okay.
But and of course, the other really important thing about the 2019 is the 2019 they reintroduced scissor keys instead of the butterfly keys. This was not an accident when it came to which one we were going to buy. I was not going to buy a laptop with butterfly keys. So
Smart.
yeah. So anyhow, I just thought I would make mention of that because it is Mac based, and of course it has one of these.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one thing I will tell you about the Touch Bar is it is really fun to look at. It's very cute. I love the way it changes and updates and things. It's really nifty. I haven't used it once. I haven't actually found a use for it once, but maybe the right software.
My gripe with it is that what just happened?
Sneeze coming.
Oh, my issue with it is that the little LCD that they use for the touch bar is such low quality. You can see the pixels, and a centimeter above that, you got this Retina display, and it just is in comparison.
Yeah, it is definitely noticeable when you're looking at one and you're looking at the other. The bottom one feels like an old sort of old mobile phone LCD, and then the top one has the Retina. But having said that, it's not something that.
So you're gonna take possession of that Mac every time you need to edit a video or do some stuff.
No.
I'm gonna start recording in 8K now because you can edit it.
Well, speaking of which, I have a new camera on the way for my YouTube channel, so that's going. Yeah,
now we just have to make a video.
Well, this is the thing. I've got all this content that I need to film, and it's like, do I film it now with the old camera, or do I wait till the new camera arrives? So I haven't even dispatched it yet, so who knows? I'll be getting on to them today if they don't dispatch it today. So.
Yeah, the use of fan control software on those things is highly recommended. Just, you turn the power button, it's maxed out on temperature. Well, they can get pretty far above 100, but they start throttling.
So far, I mean, say for my wife's purposes, I mean, the main thing that she wants, as I say, she wants the big screen, and she wants the battery to last her so that she doesn't have to cart the charger around with her all the time. So. The old one, you could just sit there and watch the number go down. So
yeah, and I know we're talking about Ventura, but I have to say this: 16-inch is such a dick move from Apple. Like, you're gonna take away the 17-inch. People have been asking for the 17-inch back for years. They're like, okay, we're gonna go bigger. You go to 16. That's just petty. Just give us back 17-inch.
Yeah,
bro. Why 16?
I guess the one advantage is there are way more pixels on that screen now than there were on the 17. So it is actually more screen real estate than the old one. But yes, I agree. I mean, when you sit in front of a 17-inch with that great big beautiful screen, I suspect that Apple can't make the 17s anymore without there being too much risk of the screen cracking because they're building everything so freaking thin.
Yeah, good point.
I suspect that
probably.
Yeah. So I suspect that it's done from a functional standpoint. That if they start releasing 17s, they're going to be having to deal with all these screens exploding.
All right, stop making sense. Come on.
Now, I also just want to mention something very quickly. This is sort of kind of news related, but there was recently an iOS update to 16.1. And I just want to let people know that if you are like me and you've got your phone on like 16, but your computer might be on an older operating system like Mojave, like I am, that 16.1 update is a really important one. So what I found when I updated to 16 was I wasn't able to get photos onto Photos anymore. So when I used to plug my phone in and go to import photos from the phone into the Photos application, it was coming up with an error saying it couldn't be transferred, and just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it with image capture. Couldn't do it with photos. Just couldn't do it at all. 16.1. They did a 16.01 or 02 or something like that. Still wasn't fixed. 16.1 came out and it was fixed. So that was something that was a very good and very necessary repair. Should also mention, I haven't got my phone on me, but for those who aren't aware of it, with the 16, you now have the option, if you go into your battery settings, to make the number appear in the corner. And you can even do that on a little mini like I have. I've got the iPhone 12 mini, which is with the small screen. And so you can even do that with the mini now, that you can actually go into your preferences for your battery and show battery percentage. And you can now bring back the little number percentage up in the corner, which is something that I quite like. I like actually seeing the battery amount as a percentage. So,
and they finally fixed the icon behind the number. At first, it was very confusing because the battery was just solid. Whether you had 100% or 1% battery, the icon was solid. But I think they fixed that with the first update.
Yeah.
Can I just poll our audience for a second? Anyone here on iOS 16? If you open up the weather app, are your sun icons brown instead of yellow? Mine are brown.
Weird.
I thought I had it linked to light or dark mode, but then today it was just brown all day, even on light mode. And then I started thinking maybe it's the night shift, but it's not that either. It's just completely random, brown icons. So,
Hey Jay,
yeah,
that's a feature.
not a bug. Yeah.
You saw that.
Oh, and I don't know if it's not going to focus. No way it's going to focus.
God.
Never mind. Just take Bruce's word for it. Battery icon is pretty sweet. Bruce's wine is being delivered, so he'll be right back. Yellow, yellow. Those look orange. Mine are yellow. All right. Great. Leave it to me to find a bug that no one else sees.
It's all your fault, Jay. What phone are you using?
This is the... I don't know. Can you tell from the cameras what this is?
Looks like a 12 or 13 Pro Max.
iPhone.
It is a Pro, but I don't know if
13
it's a
Pro
12 or a 13.
12 or 13 Pro.
Okay.
Samsung.
Yeah. Can't afford that.
Dear. So,
Why did we
What
start
else?
talking about Ventura anyway?
well, it was in the topics. We said
I still
Ventura
haven't
and
scrolled down
Ultimax.
that far. So.
Yeah. It says Ventura and older Max, how is it? Ventura and modern Max opinions. Now, of course, that's not an opinion that I can give. So,
Well,
we might
that
actually.
that was written for the one guy who has a modern Mac running Ventura that isn't here.
Where is
So-
Steve anyway?
We can.
Well,
we
he
can-
did.
We can skip that one until the loser shows up, or
Yeah.
just
He did
fall
say
asleep.
in the chat. He said.
Now we're
Hang
supposed to
on.
read the chat too? Come on.
Yeah. Oh, something like, I don't know. It's in here
Oh,
somewhere.
there it
But he
is.
said, "Hello, it's Steve. Hey, Steve, where are you, Steve?"
Yeah.
He said something like, "I, if I make it to the show, it'll be after the start," is what he said.
Okay. Hopefully before the
that-
end.
that's anytime from 8 to 9:30.
Oh, he's
I'm
in the
here,
chat. Doesn't count.
Jerkwads.
Yeah, that does not count. So Patrick is running it on an M1. fairly recent, so he seems to be happy with it.
Okay, well that's
Oh
good.
no, Steve hasn't updated yet, so no point showing up then, Steve. That's the one question you had to answer. Come on.
Oh, I thought Steve did update.
No, apparently not.
And a
Let's go back.
2019 Mac Pro, 7,1. He's using Siri again, so
He's always using Siri.
always, man. There's
So-
some hilarious stuff during your stream last night, Mike. The stuff that's coming out of Patrick's mouth is, and the way Siri writes it down, is all the entertainment you need.
Now we don't actually have a whole lot of topics here. We do have one which is the kind of topic that we add when we don't have any topics, and it is best Macs made. And now that's just pointless asking us because we're just going to say classic Mac Pro.
Yeah, anything MacBook Air. Right?
Hey, look, I was at work bored trying to think of what we could possibly remotely maybe talk about since I opened up the notes to do my thing and it was totally blank.
Yeah. And I was at work actually working, so I didn't have time to look at the notes.
Now, Jeremy said a blue and white G3 Tower, and I feel compelled to agree with him. I feel like the blue and white G3 Tower is a pretty awesome computer. It is one of the few computers that I have in here in my office. So in my office, I have my classic Mac Pro on my right. I have my G5 Tower on the left. And then over here is my blue and white G3. And I feel very comfortable in this room sitting amongst these computers. So, Quadra 840AV, best Mac ever made. Well, I might dispute that. There are things I love about the 840AV, but there are some manufacturing issues that have resulted in a lot of those 840AVs not working anymore because of the way that they designed the PCB, or built the PCB. But having said that, I do have an incredible soft spot for the 840AV. Used to have one at work, and I loved it because it was so fast. It was
Steve
just
loves it too. He just can't seem to stop working on it.
And of course the AV function, although it was gimmickry, it's not like you could really do broadcast quality editing or anything on it like that. Being able to actually bring video in onto the screen and stuff like that. And actually output your screen to it like a TV set, and that was kind of cool. I mean, the stuff that we take for granted nowadays, but back then I was just blown away by it. Recording video onto a computer. We are talking.
Can I suggest, for a moment, we narrow it down? What is the best Mac you can buy today, apart from a brand new one, that is still functional in all areas of what we do? Social media is popular, YouTube is popular, streaming, gaming for some. What is the oldest Mac you can think of that can still perfectly fine keep up to date with operating systems, features, all that?
Are we talking bang for buck? So if
Yes.
someone said to you, okay, I'm going to give you only a small amount of money, you need to go out and buy yourself. Let's just say you lost all your Macs for some reason, and you need to go out and buy a new one, and you're wanting to do it for the lowest price possible, but you do want to get something that is still usable in this day and age. Still browse the web.
So that rules out anything for sale in Australia because the prices are insane.
Yeah, they are indeed.
I was a 2012 Mini, preferably with an i7.
Well, it's a really good point with the 2012 Mini, because one of the fantastic things about them is they are going cheap.
They really have dropped in price significantly.
Yeah, I have mentioned that I have actually had two of them given to me. So I actually managed to get two 2012 Minis for nothing, and then I bought one as well. I bought the one before I got them given to me. I should just clarify that. And, even here in Australia, in terms of just outright bang for buck. Now, okay, if you are someone that is heavily into gaming and you are needing the 3D graphics for that, no, the Mini is not for you. But you get that little Mini, it's just room for two SSDs in it. you get the so you whack an SSD in there, you max out the RAM, you have got yourself a pretty usable Mac, and of course, tiny little footprint as well. So yeah, I would
Yeah.
definitely say that.
Agreed. I thought I was going to be fully switched over to 2014 Mac Minis at this point, i7s, of course, but the 2012s are keeping up just fine with Big Sur, with Monterey, with Mojave. I run one with what's the one before that? High Sierra. Still, they're all keeping up just fine, and these are running as servers. 2012 Mac Mini over there that I stream from when I do repairs. It's been a while, but when I used to do streams, is running Mojave, just fine, not an issue, keeping up. But yeah, anything graphics related, if you're going to be gaming and stuff, the Mini, and for that matter, the 13-inch 2012 MacBook Pro is not for you if you're into gaming, because the graphics are just not there.
Well, I had a very specific task for a Mac recently, and I needed an older Mac for it, and I had planned to use a 2011 Mini for it. But when I discovered that my 2011 Mini has the Ethernet port doesn't work, and so I have stacks and stacks of iMacs floating around, just old iMacs. So I ended up using one of those.
Didn't you fix that Ethernet port?
No, I did a live stream on trying to fix it, but I didn't fix it. I swapped over. It was a non-diagnosis, so it was me going, "Hey, this is the controller chip. Let's swap it for a new one and hope it works," and it didn't. So, now obviously, just mentioning with the 2014, just letting people know, look out. There is it the 2014 that has that really bad one? Yeah, stay away.
1.4 gigahertz, super.
Yeah, 1.4 gigahertz i5 or something like that, and it has 4 gigs of RAM that you can't upgrade. So that one, I have one because I got it really cheap. Picked it up on eBay because it wasn't working, and I repaired it. But I picked it up for pocket change basically, and I now have running Ubuntu on it, and I've got it running a web server, and it works beautifully. So it's fine for that task. I'm not sure I would really apply it to any other task, but yeah, I would think that you can probably pick up some relatively inexpensive small iMacs, the ones with the smaller screen. The downside to them is that if you do decide you want to upgrade them, you have to remove adhesive to get the screen off the front. You have to actually melt adhesive and all that sort of stuff. So, Bruce Code, Joe.
Code? What code?
I don't know. Look at this.
Yeah,
Bruce.
Maybe he wants the code to join in this discussion.
I don't know. He might be talking about the fact that if you're a coder, you can code on just about anything.
Yeah, you could do that on Core 2 Duo.
Yeah, that's right. All you need is just a text editor, basically.
Pretty much.
Well, unless you want to install what's the Apple one called Xcode, then you're going to need like about 3 terabytes of free space and the fastest computer you can possibly imagine, because that is one great big bulky.
Yeah, I think it's a 12 gig download, something like that. Now, a quick rant about 2012. It could have been so much better than it ended up being. Like, we got some of our best Apple products from 2012. The Mac Pro, the MacBook Pro, the Mac Mini, all fantastic products. If they just would have made one more 17-inch MacBook Pro, just one more, it would have had USB 3. It would have been amazing.
Yeah. Well, I've got the i7 2012 MacBook Pro 15, and that is my main laptop still. But
it's 15-inch. It's meh.
Oh, I get you. But if we look past that one failing,
that is kind of a kick in the nads.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, the switching from the 17-inch Core 2 Duo to the 15-inch Core i7, that you do kind of miss that screen,
especially
although
the anti-glare model.
That Retina screen is freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, and then to make it worse, they come out with the Trash Can Pro the next year, and then then you know Apple just doesn't care about you anymore. And it's
Well,
sad. It's
you
sad.
know, I have to actually say
You're not going to defend the Trash Can Pro because then you're.
I tell you what I will defend. I won't defend the trash can because there's so much wrong with it. But what I will defend is Apple's, I guess, intention, because they did not intentionally produce one of the worst Macs they've ever made.
Yeah, they did.
They thought they were making something spectacular. They thought they were making something completely new, thinking outside of the box, thinking into the weird trash can. I get what they were trying to do. The fact that it had problems with GPUs and cooling and expansion space and all that sort of stuff. Okay, they're things that you find out when you start using it. But I believe they thought they were onto a winner with that. That they were basically going to rewrite the rule book for pro hardware.
Yeah, it worked so well with the Cube, didn't it?
Yeah.
I don't share your optimism. You know that, especially you're going after the current Mac Pro owners for an upgrade with the 4 internal drive bays, PCI slots, ports everywhere, and you come out with that. It's just a slap in the face. I don't buy it that they did it with
The
best
trash can is
intentions.
just basically a Mac Mini on steroids.
I have to say I would really like one because I think they're collectible because of all of the problems.
I want the shell. I don't care about the internals because they're garbage.
But there are still some fast ones, aren't there? I think some of them go reasonably quick. So we got 27 people watching. Hello to everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. We are a bit of a scaled down show. As mentioned at the beginning of the show, Steve is in the chat, but he's not here, and he hasn't given us a good explanation why.
He said he's
Dana-
on his way home, which
Ah.
either means he's texting and driving, or he's sitting in the passenger seat, and he might as well be here. So,
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
He's not sitting in
and-
passenger seat. He refuses to be in the car when his wife's driving.
all kinds of questions arise. Yeah, cool.
GT is unwell. Grudy has been called up for service. What else? Who else? We've got.
See that? I got dibs.
Oh, Dana. Dana's at work. Yeah, Dana is at work, and he had to work late because I don't know, his boss is a Nazi. So Apple was trying to go to, but Dana is
And
joining
it's
us.
not that we're intentionally forgetting Grudy. We just forget he exists because he's never here.
Well, you see, we have this group chat, and Grudy is a part of it. And every now and again, he just pops up and says something, but just typically not on show day. We usually get a message the next day or later in the day saying, "I forgot it was the show, so I forgot the show.
Crash my
on.
car.
Sorry, guys." That sort of thing. So, just need to very, very quickly mention the little side project that Jay, Dana, and I have been working on, which is Startup Disk is Full, just a general tech chat. Link to the video here in the chat. Please check it out. Please subscribe. We would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yes, being a collectible item. See, I would agree with Patrick in his little chat comments there. The fact that the trash can is a collectible item, as is the Cube. The Cube, it was a stupid computer when it was released. It is a stupid computer today, but it is eminently collectible. So
That is true.
So what about we should probably, so we're thinking we're all pretty much in agreement that a 2012 Mini, if you have got a small amount of money but you're looking for the most usable sort of Mac, what if we were to talk about say, let's look at what's your favorite PowerPC Mac? How about that?
I can't answer that because that's a that's a trick question. Either I betray my blue and white G3, or I don't give the G4 MDD enough credit. Favorite for nostalgia, G3 blue and white, obviously. Favorite for performance, gotta go with the MDD. It's a beast. And
So
for me, the G5 doesn't exist. Never happened.
now, what
Jay is
happened?
very anti G5. I like the G5.
Yeah, I'm just curious about this G5 black spot you have. I mean, I'm just curious about why you are so down on the G5.
The power supplies were unreliable, and this is just from the time they came out, and I was working for Apple resellers and service centers. Uh, Forget the liquid cooling disasters. The power supplies failed all the time. They ran too hot. They are noisy, even when calibrated. If you run Photoshop on them and you put them on a serious load, they're noisy, and they are just way too picky when it comes to the kind of hard drives. And today, the SSDs they like or dislike. And even then, going from a G4 to a G5, no doubt the CPU is the best PowerPC CPU out there, but it's going from a classic Mac Pro to a trash can. I could put four drives in my G3s and G4s, or five even if you put one where the zip drive used to be, and then you get a G5 and you can put two drives in there. What the hell? And the biggest they sold at the time was 1 terabyte, not even. So
Have a look. I'm going to have a look and see how many drives you can.
I never understood that myself because all of the G4 mini towers could accept 4 hard drives.
Oh yeah, that's because everything was for cooling.
Right.
The G3 ones could too, but yeah, the G5 was way bigger than any of those older models, and yet you can only put 2 hard drives in.
Yeah. I think one of the big problems with the G5, which obviously when you look at one, you open it up, so is the fact that almost the whole thing is a heatsink. And
3/4 of the machine is designed just to keep the processors cool because you're running server class processors in a desktop machine, and you're trying to keep it quiet.
Yes. Anyone who has a G5 will be familiar with the whole jet plane thing that happens if they crash. You might computer might just be working away, and then it might crash, and then you'll be in another room, and you just suddenly, what is that sound? And you just walk forward, and it just sounds like you're turning up to it like an airport or something like that. And then it has this kind of fail-safe mechanism that if it crashes, it just puts all the fans up to 100%, and that is loud.
Yeah,
it's got 6 of them suckers.
Now I should mention that all my G5 experience is from a personal standpoint. At the time, I still had hair. I couldn't grow facial hair yet. I didn't have any professional use for a Mac. I'm sure for a professional, going from a G4, a maxed out G4, hey Steve, to a maxed out G5, 64-bit, 16 gigs of RAM, all that stuff was a no-brainer. The amount of work you could get done, a no-brainer. But from a personal standpoint, and from all the repairs I had to do on them, never. No.
Well,
see, one of the downsides to the G5 is it came at a time when the entire computer industry was shifting from old accepted standards that had been around for 15 years to all new standards that are somewhat still around today. So the G5 used DDR memory, which at the time was fairly new. It used SATA, which was new. It had PCI Express on the later models, or it had PCI. What the hell is it? PCI X on the earlier models.
That still confuses the hell out of me, and it's 10 years
the
later,
PCI
15 years
X
later.
was never adopted as a very common standard, but PCI Express is, and still used today. And I think it tried to do too much at one time, and it unfortunately didn't get a lot right.
I will still contend that the first one that came out, so there was a single core 1.8 and a dual core 2. I think the first gen dual core 2 is still a great Mac. yes, it uses huge amounts of power and it generates massive amounts of heat. But my one is sitting here, maxed out RAM, SSD running in it, and it runs well. And I bought it brand new in 2003, so we're heading up for a 20th anniversary for this thing. So,
I like the quad core though. That's why I have a basement full of them.
but isn't
Because
that when the liquid cooling came in?
Yeah, they had it in 2004 with the dual 2.7 as well. But the quad core is such a desperate attempt to keep that thing from catching on fire that it resulted in one of the coolest Macs, cooling wise, that they ever made. So I do like that one.
That's why Sean likes it too, because he likes when things go on fire.
Well, it's Sean. You know, he spends a lot of money to make sure stuff catches on fire, and he's disappointed when it doesn't. That's just
Speaking
Sean.
of fire,
Right,
I'm
Sean?
waiting for this little Palm Pilot to catch on fire.
Oh Lord.
Why
It's
isn't it
streaming
playing
video.
Maciac?
It's streaming analog video from the basement. I'm just seeing.
Oh, you're using your little thing.
my little thing.
Mm.
Another
Lord.
YouTuber reached out to me about that little thing, so I'm putting it through its paces.
Oh gosh.
Are we
That's so
allowed to
stupid.
know who?
I will tell you afterwards.
Okay, it's a secret.
Now Bruce is in the secret room.
Yeah.
So anyway, as we were talking about the G5, so Bruce, I'm with you. I have a dual processor 1.8, an early model, a 2003 model. Now I didn't buy a brand new or nothing. And that, I tell you what, that's a great machine, and it doesn't run that hot. You know, and I have this single processor 2.1 iMac back here, which if I fire that sucker up, I can almost guarantee that I won't have to heat the living room for a while. Between that and the two Mac Pros running, and if I have either Dell going too at the same time, I mean, I only have the only computers in this house that are actually usable is the iMac G5 and 4 Intel Xeon based machines. So, you know, it goes from one extreme to I only like server class processors. So, but yeah, the original
So does my
G5
energy provider. They love the Xeons.
Oh yeah, oh yes, PB&L loves me, trust me. But I thought the original G5s ran quite cool. I very rarely ever hear the fans ramp up on mine. Now, granted, I did use it as a server, so it's not like it had a real huge load put on it. But you know, they were fun. They were okay.
Steve, been doing anything interesting? You missed that bit at the beginning, so we're gonna swing back around to you.
I've been playing with stupid things. So I have a video on Patreon that's be launched this weekend or so. This company called Slingbox made these video streaming dealies, and they're shutting down in a few days. So
Why are they shutting down? Can you tell me that?
Well, they announced it 2 years ago. I guess it's just because you could basically stream anything any day now, that you don't need to stream from your personal cable box via analog component cables or anything like that to a device in your house and then all that stuff. So it's a product that was around since 2007. So a lot has changed since then. And I guess they're just don't want to pay for the servers.
Is that like ITV?
No, so basically it's a box that sits on top of your cable box. Well, I don't know what ITV is, but it's a box that sits on top of your cable box. You shove an input into it, and then you could wirelessly it connects to a network, and then you could wirelessly or wiredly watch it remotely.
This is dependent on their networks. It's not just internally running something. So when they shut down, your device will cease to work?
It doesn't work remotely when they shut down, but I was just testing this on a separate router that has no connection to the internet, and it seems to be fine locally. So locally it seems okay, but over the internet,
Okay, so but if you
it probably
try
phones
and
home and
access
won't
it,
be happy
yeah,
in
like
a few days.
you want to watch the telly when you're in the doctor's waiting room or something like that, you may not be able to do that.
Exactly, yeah. But I used it when it was in its heyday, and it was pretty neat. And I literally was cleaning out my little entertainment unit, found one sealed in the box from a thrift store I got in 2015, and then I Googled it and saw the service that was going to be closed down. I'm like, oh, well, better do something about this now. That's when I told you I probably filmed like 20 minutes of it out of focus and had to do it again. So fun times.
Yeah, you sounded thrilled about that.
I was so happy. You could see the look on my face in the video. So Yeah,
There
that's
is a
fun too.
one of the things that I will regularly do when I am filming a video is I will record about 2 to 5 minutes worth, and then I will get up, take the card out, go to the computer, download it, because there have been times where it's just been stupid things, like something sticking in front of the camera that I didn't even realize was kind of blocking the way. And so yes, that's a habit that I've pretty much got into now of checking a few minutes worth of footage before I shoot the whole thing.
This one tripped me up because I didn't realize I had the camera plugged into the power strip that I have everything else plugged into. And so when I turned off the power strip and turned it back on, the camera didn't make any noise. It turned on, it connected to Wi-Fi, but I guess it did its like focusing. It was like, oh, I gotta do that, and it refocused. So it happened in the middle of the video. So the beginning was all fine, but the
That's
middle
what
was
you
all
get
just
for
like,
not using your
crap.
Mavica.
You get like a thumbnail 160 by 120
On the
video,
Retina
yeah.
screen, that's going to look awesome.
You can see the pixels. So
We've
yeah,
got-
but we were talking about Macs that like our favorite ones, I guess.
Oh no, we've done that.
Well,
Good.
We started
Yeah.
off with the best bang for your buck, and we pretty much all agreed on anything 2012, except the Retina iMac. Nobody mentioned that piece of crap. And then we kind of went on to favorite.
The
power
one you
PC.
need a pizza cutter to open up.
Yeah, and some people that will remain nameless are stupid enough to talk about the G5. So
Hey, I was using an iMac G5 downstairs. It's not melted yet.
yet,
I
give it.
am actually. I do have a video in the pipeline. I don't know if it'll ever get made, but I have a video in the pipeline where I recap an iMac G5, because some of those iMac G5s have very, very leaky capacitors because they were made during the time of the capacitor plague, where there were a lot of faulty capacitors being put into computers at the time. And I got a couple of G5 iMacs for free. And when you open them up, you can just see goop leaking out of virtually every capacitor on the thing. And there are a lot of capacitors. And I mean, there are heaps there. And my plan is to go and buy all the replacement capacitors, recap the whole thing, and then try and sell it and see if I can actually turn a profit. Can I make back the cost of the capacitors by selling a working unit on eBay? It could
This is
make
one
a
of those
fun video.
videos you know the answer to before you click.
Yeah,
on it.
I already know the answer, but it's sort of it'll make a fun little project.
We're all rooting for you, Bruce. We
Yeah,
hope you
yeah.
break even
If
by
you
at
wait
least a
20
penny.
years, you might sell it as a vintage and make more money
Yes.
than you could now.
Yeah. They are definitely. There's a guy who lives reasonably locally, a couple of suburbs away, and I'm the Mac guy, so he just sends me a message, and because he gets hold of lots of junk, people. He gets hold of like these kind of bulk lots of stuff, bits of computers and all sorts of things. And he anytime he gets anything Mac, he sends me a photo. He knows now to send me a photo of it and send me a photo of the serial number so I can look it up. And he'll usually send me a photo of the inside and everything like that. Anyhow, the other day he sent me a photo of a Mac Pro 1,1 with no RAM in it. And I was like, you might struggle getting money for that one in this day and age. You are right at the bottom of that kind of functionality versus, you have things that are functional, and then their functionality goes down and down and down and down and down, and then it hits a rock bottom, and then it stays there, and then it starts coming up as it gets collectible. So they start coming back into fashion as they get collectible, as they get past a certain age. This one ain't quite in the collectible area yet, but it is definitely way down low in the functionality side of things. So I said, look, given the fact that you have got an item here where someone is actually going to have to pay money to get it working because they're going to have to go and buy some RAM for it, I would say that you'd be lucky to get like $10 at the markets for it.
Yeah, I mean, unless you really had an application that needed an OS that machine had to run. I mean, I have 2008 Mac Pros on my shelf just sitting there, so I even struggle for a use for the stupid thing.
Send it to Steve. Tell him it's a printer.
iMac G5 printer. Yeah.
So okay, so do you have a different opinion on what is the best bang for buck if you were having to go out and buy a secondhand computer? Which one you would look to?
I was agreeing with you with the 2012 Mac Mini. You can get them for under $100. They are really a great deal, even if you have to upgrade the RAM or has no hard drive. A lot of them on eBay don't have a hard drive. Just make sure they're not iCloud activation locked and all that stupid stuff. But yeah, those machines. I have one that's running at a server. It's running Mojave, and I'm not really pushing it, but it's happy just sitting there. And I'm looking to purchase a mic. I think your mic is doing that thing again. I'm looking to get a family member another. Well, someone's mic is doing it. Looking to get a family member another.
I think it was Mark.
Oh. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm looking to get a family member their first Mac, and I'm gonna probably get a 2012 Mac Mini because it's such a low barrier of entry. They could just play around with it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. It's fine.
So Steve, Mac Mini also is also good for home security. Yes.
What?
I mean, I said the 2012 Mac Mini is also good for home security. Yes.
Why?
I don't know. You dropped yours on your head.
Oh well, that was because I'm an idiot. But we already knew that. Yeah, I went to rearrange the Ethernet cables, and of course, the Ethernet cable I thought that was connected to the Xserve, which that thing's not coming down without a fight. I just lightly tugged on the Ethernet cable, and I heard something moving. I'm like, "What's that?" And I looked up. Bam! Side of the Mac Mini right in the top.
And was Macaulay Culkin running away? I'm just wondering.
No, but the rabbit.
No, the rabbit was.
So, no. She was just like, "What the hell are you doing, you idiot?"
To run an actual security system, don't use a Mac Mini though. I tried, and that was at a time when I only had 2 security cameras, IP cameras. No, it's just not happening. We have a question in the chat.
If one would like to get an older Mac that will run an OS that's somewhat modern and supported, what Mac would you all recommend? Well,
2012.
2012 Mac Mini.
Yeah,
And of course, here's the interesting thing. With Open Core, you can actually take that all the way up to, I think you can even do Ventura on them.
Ventura, yep.
I have the 2012 Mac Mini that I use for my live streaming. I have that set up with Big Sur, so I can run all the latest and greatest stuff. Pretty much all the software out there will still happily work with Big Sur. Runs a treat. Really good, reliable little thing. When I'm live streaming on it with 4 cameras that I use, certainly get a bit of fan noise coming from the thing, but it still does it. Yeah.
I was just looking at this thing, the Maxell batteries and how you should get them out of the computer. Well, Maxell, the company, actually responded to one of our local Mac crazy people on Twitter saying, yeah, we discontinued these batteries in the early 2000s. All of those sitting in their products are past their shelf life. Everyone, please remember to remove those expired batteries. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I wonder if Varda still exists. If they would agree.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's work our way down the list of pest.
Varda do still exist, very much so. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I just need to very quickly mention here. I just wanted to say a big thank you to Charlie. He's one of my recapping customers, who also I regularly chat to, and he just sent me an LC575 yesterday. No logic board, but I have a spare logic board. But and the plastic is in horrendous condition, as you would expect from a 575, but it does work. So big thank you to Charlie for sending that to me. I do appreciate it. It's probably going to become my testing rig, because one of the good things about the 575 is you can test a 575 and a Color Classic and a 520 and a 550 and a Color Classic 2 all in the same chassis. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So sorry about that. What else? What's next? We're going to keep with the favorites.
I think we covered the favorites.
Cool.
But that presents an issue.
It does.
Topics list is empty.
Well, I will go on a rant about how I didn't want
not iCloud again.
No, to the macOS. What is it, Ventura? I didn't want. What do you crazy people think I am? Testing software and things like that. No, the damn computer works. I'm not touching it. Oh, that's
Oh,
a good,
open
that's a
source
good question,
program.
though.
Open source programs. Trina. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just about to say. Lost my damn train of thought. Thanks, Bruce. No, wait. Damn it, Bruce. How long
Here
do
comes
you
the
wait?
train.
How long do you wait before upgrading your OS? If it's like a big release like this,
Until a week ago, about a year.
really?
Well, are we
Yeah.
talking experimenting or
No,
main-
I'm talking about on your main machine. Assuming you only have one machine, let's just cut all the crap out of here.
I wait till the
Like-
next OS is out.
I give
I-
it
I
at
wait
least-
until
I'll
something
install,
stops
I'll
working.
install Ventura when next year's OS comes out.
The one of the this has always been the way that I am. I don't have this burning desire to upgrade. We are so far. Okay, so been using computers now since the 80s, and they have been gradually getting better and faster and all that sort of stuff. And various bits of software, if you look at something like Adobe Photoshop, what it started to what it is now, when you ended up in a situation where you could do non-destructive adjustments to layers and stuff like that. Oh, I want to upgrade to do that. Even more recently, when Photoshop introduced, content-aware scaling and content-aware editing and stuff like that, it's like, oh, that's a cool feature. I want to add that. We're past that now. We have got to a point now when new things come out, when updates are made, there is very little there to entice me to go through the hassle of upgrading. And so I am now in a situation where when something like Ventura comes out, I have very little motivation to go and update. What motivates me to update is if some software that I am using stops working or something like that. That's when I might upgrade.
His motivation
interestingly
is
enough-
being forced.
The one thing which will probably motivate me to upgrade from Mojave now, first of all, I've moved Aperture onto a different computer now, so Aperture was one of the main things keeping me on this. And not only that, although you can update Aperture to work on 64-bit operating system, but it is kind of buggy. The Final Cut Pro added auto tracking to the software out of the box. That is a motivator for me. I did have an auto tracking plugin. It's kind of stopped working. And so I like the idea of there being auto tracking built into the system. That is a feature for me that is worthy to make me update. But even then, I'm talking about updating the Big Sur. I'm not going to Ventura. Just enough for me to be able to get the latest version of Final Cut Pro. So
Yeah, and
I've
that's
kind of
the
been
issue,
doing
though,
a
'cause-
switch. Back in the day, new OS dropped, I would install it day one on a separate drive, mind you. But I would install it, migrate my stuff, play with it, because I liked the new features because they were actual features that I liked. Now I find myself thinking, and then there were since High Sierra, High Sierra, a couple of years where I didn't want to upgrade at all. And then I did Mojave just for compatibility reasons. But now I'm kind of going back to wanting to update as soon as possible. Not for the features, although, well, they are features, but I call them gimmicks. Opening a photo and it recognizes the text for me. Synchronizing my focus status. You know, the gimmicks that they could have easily done in Snow Leopard. So I don't really value the OS for whatever major new features it has. It's all the gimmicks that make it compatible with my phone
Yeah.
and all my other stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely in agreement with you. I mean, I can't think of the last time a particular feature came out and I was like, oh, I've got to upgrade for that. Can you think of one that was one that actually really properly motivated you to say, yep, I need to update because I need to be able to do that?
Yeah, Tiger.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to update eventually because like the live text on the in Photos on the Mac I think would be very helpful. I don't know if it does it outside of the Photos library. If I think it's used as Spotlight, but anyway, Yay, Daner. I think that's like one of the neat things that I'd like to have, but I can't think of any other features that. I mean, system preferences is a freaking mess. I did a whole video about that when it was still in beta, and it's still garbage. So yeah, I mean,
If they
it might
announce
have.
the next macOS with a functional disk utility, day one. Upgrade. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's
think
still better than what
I'll
they have on Windows.
I think I'll just have to update eventually because of iMessage parity and things like Jay was saying, just like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
with the phone. But
Compute
other than that,
class
I'm
thing,
always
yeah.
Yeah.
I find that being in Mojave, there are a few sort of messages, features that I would like to have that are on my phone and aren't on here. Because, to be honest, it's one of the applications I use the most, keeping in touch with you guys. So, I'm just using messages
Don't
constantly.
blame us for the fact that your iMessage library is 35 gigabytes. All right.
I have no idea how big it is, but I bet it's huge. I don't necessarily blame software developers for this conundrum that we have, because this is, I sort of feel like this is just where you're potentially going to end up. There was a time when there were virtually no personal computers. There were no personal computers in people's house, same as there was a time when there were no cell phones. And this was a new industry that got created. Once upon a time, the industry didn't exist. And then the next thing you know, it's one of the biggest industries in the world. And so it is changing and it's progressing and everything like that. But I sort of feel that at a certain point, unless someone comes up with some huge innovation, which, might happen, I don't know. Anything we see at this stage is window dressing. We don't see anything at the moment that is kind of life-changing. This is going to, you think about the idea of if you were an accountant getting to use a computer spreadsheet for the first time. This is life-changing. This is something that is going to make your work so much easier. Or if you're talking about someone who is a designer getting to use a desktop publishing application who never got to use one before. These sorts of
Question,
things.
Bruce? Sorry, does this accountant first time, does he start with AppleWorks, Office, or Numbers? Because that's a huge difference in experience.
I'm going to go back even further and say it was VisiCalc. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So, on his Apple II. And I feel like those sorts of life-changing moments, those sorts of life-changing innovations, industry-changing moments. Because when you think about what computers did to things like the desktop publishing and printing industry, and created the desktop publishing industry and essentially killed off other industries. You think about people who used to do retouching with an airbrush, an actual physical airbrush, compared to now retouching in digital retouching. So you have these sorts of things that are big kind of life-changing moments, changing industries. We don't have that anymore. We've got, the computer industry has become a grumpy old man, just like me. So
in some regards, there are still those very impressive, very important markers, but they go largely unnoticed. Like when the Mac started supporting hyperthreading, huge memory compression. What was it? Mavericks, I think, did it, where suddenly 4 gigs was not the end of the road for your Mac. It could squeeze a lot more use out of it. All that under the hood stuff that doesn't really get a lot of attention, that to me is still pretty big, but I'm a nerd, so I notice that it's there. But yeah, and maybe that's why most collectors that I know, at least, they gravitate back to the first Mac experience they had. For me, it's the G3 blue and white. Blew my mind. It was my first Mac. It will always have a special place for me. But now there are people, their first Mac was a MacBook Air, so they love the MacBook Air because it has that nostalgia for them. It was their first interaction with Mac OS. And yeah, but right now, the biggest thing about Ventura, the reason I would upgrade my Mac Pro today if I could, is I spend a decent amount of time on camera, whether it's for shows, for meetings, for calls, and this is a Logitech C920. 920. It sucks. For 2022, I know they still make them and sell them. This is a 1080p camera. It's grainy as hell. I don't like it. This camera is a million times better. And now on Ventura, I can use this camera as a FaceTime or Zoom or whatever webcam.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing. It's the best camera I've ever had on a Mac. And that, to me, is pretty big.
It only costs you an extra $1,000.
It's good.
Yeah, and so I guess the main point that I was making, I wasn't just trying to come off like a grumpy old person, even though
But you
I largely am. Was that I recognize that companies, not just Apple, but software companies in general, are under pressure to continue releasing updates, improvements, add-ons, extras, whatever. And they're kind of exhausting the ideas. And so when a new operating system comes out, the last thing in an update that I've kind of appreciated, because it works well for me, is stacks, on the desktop. Getting all that desktop junk all organized into nice little piles. I mean,
Do you remember a bunch of Mac Yaks ago? You brought it up, and I fought it tooth and nail. I was like, I'll never use it.
Yeah.
Screw
You're
stacks.
using it.
It's
You're using it
horrible.
now, aren't you?
I started using it, and without ever admitting it, of course, okay, it's pretty useful. The problem is when I open up, so I have documents, images, PDF, music, blah, blah. If I now open one, it wraps around to the second display and then over the first display. I got 3 deep layer of icons, and yeah, so it needs some tweaking.
No, I appreciate that. I have a similar problem on my computer. Yeah, so I just sort of feel like those sorts of big, groundbreaking moments, the innovations that are actually going to motivate you to say, "Yep, I want to get the latest version."
Time Machine was a big one for me. Blew my
I mean,
mind.
remember people queuing for iPhones, and they were queuing for iPhones because each one that was coming out was so much better than the one before. Again, because it was a fledgling industry, not phones, but that full screen. Essentially, what I call them really is web phones. They were phones that made using the web actually practical on a phone. Prior to web phones, using the web on a phone was a frickin' nightmare. So when the web phones came along, obviously starting with the original iPhone and then sort of continuing, that was kind of a fledgling industry. And then each time a new one came out, it was a big thing, and people were queuing up to get those new phones because they were really good. iPhone 14, did anyone queue for that? I'm just curious. Can't imagine anyone queued for 14.
We were talking about the best features of the Mac OS, and it took me a while to remember, but Jay mentioned Time Machine. I remember being legitimately excited about Leopard because of Time Machine and some other features like Quick Look. And I think that was the last OS besides maybe Mavericks that I was super excited about because Mavericks had a lot of under the hood changes and compressed memory and stuff like that. But I think Leopard was the last time I was like, oh yeah, I need to update. We've all been on Mojave on our classic Mac Pros for ages until some recent open core stuff. But I think this yearly release schedule is kind of security updates, performance, blah blah blah. Call the last year of models that you're not supporting anymore.
That's mostly because of my other hobbies and stuff, but that new feature in Ventura, where you now no longer have to wait for software updates every month to get the latest malware definitions and security updates. Ventura just pushes them through as they come out. I think is huge.
Yeah.
But
should have been ages ago.
No one is standing in the Apple store like, I want that $5,000 Mac because of background updates. No one cares.
I guess the other feature is the ability on a M1 Mac to run iOS apps. I have a few the ones for my cameras and stuff like that are great. I'm glad they're on here, but that's not I wouldn't buy a new machine just for that.
Yeah, that is a nifty feature. I can understand that. Nifty. I would actually like to get one of those M1s, but I just bought a video camera instead.
I see a use now for an M whatever machine but I would not buy a first generation M1 Mac Mini, even though it has proven itself. I'm not aware of any major hardware flaws or production issues, but we're pretty well into M Ultra
Yeah.
and M2
Yeah.
now. So
But do keep in mind that those original M1 minis could easily end up on eBay with the same sort of pricing as the 2012 mini, and they could end up being one of those Macs that you're just like, yeah, bang for your buck. You can buy this, you get all these features and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I see that happening in the original M1's future. I see that becoming a mini that you'd be able to pick up for really cheap. So
and the Bluetooth sucks, so I hear.
Yeah, there are issues with like it detecting monitors or multiple monitors. I think the USB bus is a little constrained, unlike the Mac Studio and some other machines where it has like multiple buses dedicated to it. I mean, even on this Mac Studio, the display sometimes it goes to sleep, and I have to unplug the HDMI cable and plug it back in.
Did you mean display?
Display? Sorry.
We have that.
Yeah,
in
so
here?
but it's like I don't know if it's a hardware thing or a software thing.
But as
you know,
far
if
as
it-
first
if it's
generation Macs
Monterey.
go, the M1 Mini that we all said in Mac Yak, no way, first generation Mac, don't touch it. It didn't do all that bad, since it's been out.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean,
as far
it's
as
a-
first gen goes, it did pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, anyone looking to buy one, I would wait until the beginning of next year because obviously it's long in the tooth. They're going to replace it, but
Yep. So, just a little bit of housekeeping here.
Mac Studio and Studio Display.
And of course,
Smash that like button.
and maybe a cat falling down.
We covered it
just,
all
just
now.
round them all out.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, have we got Clint? Hang on.
Yeah, we do.
Clint. Yay, it's Clint. Hey, Clint, what do you think? Dear. No, I think we can probably actually start wrapping up now, unless anyone has anything they want to say. We have managed to do it. We've managed to do 90 minutes of nothing. So,
Well, we can do a quick 5-minute on the open source freeware thingy that we had.
that's right. That's right.
I just need to share this. That's when you go to the App Store. It's like, what's new in macOS Ventura? And the guy's like, it's just like
Ripping balls,
incompatibility.
Things. We got things. Floating things. Yay.
Errors. I just thought that was funny. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Hold on. Do we have that on here? We do. Viewer request. It
We
really
need
is
the
too bad we
sound
don't have
effects.
audio with that.
Bruce could recreate it. He has some folly ideas, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was just going to say something there, and then I just censored myself. So hang on. We do actually have a freeware open source application tonight, and this is an interesting one. Who put this one in here, just out of curiosity? Mike did.
The same,
So-
person put it, the same person put everything else in.
Good on you, Mike. You're worth your weight. So we are looking at Mac Tracker today. So for those who aren't aware of Mac Tracker, it is a little application that basically stores information about pretty much every Mac that has ever been. And I guess what I would say about Mac, when it comes to open source freeware Mac apps, they fall into two separate categories. They fall into one category of, like really, cool, sort of amazing, powerful applications where you get a huge amount of stuff and you're getting it for free. And they also fall into the category of they're free because I don't think anyone would actually pay for it. And this one kind of falls into the latter category for me. I like it. It's a good application, but I kind of expect something like this to be free. I'm not sure I would be prepared to pay for it.
Yeah, unlike Coconut Battery or something that offers a lot of good feedback from your system, but also features where you can save the battery history and all that. And I know it's an app for another time, but Mac Tracker just scraped data from the Apple website and shows it, and has, quite honestly, a lot of mistakes in it that it hardly ever corrects. So I would never pay for it. It's great, fantastic. I use it daily, but I wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah,
So
it's one of those things I have to double check myself. Sometimes I'll be lazy and I'll check it on my phone while I'm doing a video or something, and then I'll come back and be like, "Oh no, that doesn't have built-in memory. You fools!" You know, stupid stuff.
It's a
so-
nice reference tool. It's available for Mac OS and iOS.
Yep.
yeah, and it goes all the way back. So for us vintage nuts, we can go on here to an LC575. Oh, it opens in another window which is not being shared. That's useful. Thank you. So hang on.
That's why I shared my entire screen first.
Well, where'd it go?
Well,
Wait,
Bruce has incriminating stuff on his desktop.
Lots
Well,
and lots.
What it opens up another screen, so you could do like
Yeah.
silly comparisons like this. And
Yeah.
Just like
What
clutter
I
your
like
space.
most about
So
Mac
bad.
Tracker, and it doesn't have it for all, but if you open up, for example, 2012 Mac Mini, and you click on the CPU speed, it pulls up the Geekbench score. Now that's very useful when you are, because I use that in my comparison with 2014 Mac Minis, and like, okay, so the speed gains I get going from a 2012 to a 2014 are worth maybe $10 to me. Definitely not the $200-300 they're asking for it. So in that regard, it's very useful.
And if you didn't know this, if you click on the old Macs, their icons, you get this startup chime.
I did not know that. I'm
if
looking
you-
forward to hearing them all.
And if you hold down Option and click on it, you get the death chimes. In the old version of Mac Tracker, there were buttons, but you just have to click on the icon or hold the button and click on the icon now.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
You just blew Bruce's mind.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
Because I got
Very
very
happy.
upset when they removed the button. I'm like, "Oh, you stupid!" And I clicked on, I'm like, "Oh, it made the noise," and I was all happy. So there you go.
Stooped.
Stooped.
Okay. All right.
See you
So,
later, Rudy.
okay. Well, I think we've pretty much. I don't think there's much more we can demonstrate about Mac Tracker, but it is, as I say, it is a free application. It's available on iOS devices as well, so you can just be on the go with it and look up stuff on your phone, as well as an application for the Mac. And yeah, I mean, I see no reason to not have it installed. I mean, if you're,
Yeah.
wanting to look up information, grab it.
And I
So
would suggest you use it on your iPhone or iPad, because even on a 12-core Mac Pro, it takes a minute to load.
Even
I
on
assume
this
it's-
M1, you launch it and it takes a freaking bloody
I
second.
assume it gets all its data from an external network or something like that.
Nope.
That's-
No, because it downloads updates, so it's
Oh.
saving them. But it took 4 seconds to launch on this machine, which is
Who knows?
ridiculous.
Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so guys,
7 seconds.
just very, very quickly before we wrap things up, anyone got anything interesting coming up?
This is downloading a
with you, Mike.
200 meg update. Sorry.
Mike, anything interesting coming up? We're going to keep working on that computer that you've been trying to fix.
I'm going to work on something else this weekend. But yeah, I'm going to do something.
Awesome.
Don't ask me what, because I don't know.
All right, so
Nothing
everyone,
nice
you
in
just
that one.
you just got to subscribe so you get the notifications because Mike is going to do something this weekend. What about you, Steve? You mentioned a Patreon, so patrons will already know this stuff.
Oh, of course, because there's so many of them. I have a video about the Slingbox, which is a piece of AV equipment that sort of does what it sounds like. It slings data. So yeah, so that's gonna be interesting. I also am gonna upload this in a few days to Patreon. I had my dad over and we looked at his first hard drive of his old Mac, and it was the first time he was playing around with System 7 for probably 20 something years. So I got his reaction of playing around with the thing, trying to remember how to do this or do that. He found, because it was the original hard drive, it was a copy of it. He found some of the first software that he bought, and it came like all back to him. So pretty neat stuff. So I'll
Nice.
be
That is-
looking forward
that-
to sharing that.
That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, I'll send you guys a link after the show. It was fun.
Yeah, indeed. Jay, what's in store?
Well, I will be continuing doing repairs, catching up on a massive backlog that I have with a lot of pissed off clients that I can't fault them for. I will also be part of recording the next Startup Disc is Full episode this weekend, which will be
Is it
coming
this
out
weekend or
Monday.
next weekend?
Hopefully this weekend, because I won't be home next weekend.
Okay, we'll have to do it this weekend. Then.
Cool.
I better start writing some notes. For
It might be live Monday or Tuesday. It all depends on on if we actually pull it off. And I will be sorting out camping gear and all that stuff this weekend and next week, because my wife is going out of town for a few weeks, and on her way to where she's going to try car camping. So we're converting a Mazda CX-5 to a full-fledged camper. It's pretty fun, actually. I don't fit in it, but she will.
You are planning to live stream any of these repairs?
Absolutely not.
Come on.
Nope.
We'll work on him, folks. We will work on him. So we'll do our best. I am hoping to do a live stream this weekend. I have some stuff arriving today for my next big project. I have got quite a few things in the pipeline, so that's all going to be happening. And of course, Startup Disc is full as well, which I just found out it's this weekend we're recording. I thought it was next weekend. We'll be fine.
We have two problems right now, by the way.
Hmm?
One, Dave ain't here. He's late.
Yeah.
Two, we haven't had a MacYack followed by a Justin stream in months. What?
He's
the
slack.
F? What the F?
What's going on there?
I even sent him some crap to unbox, so he has no excuse.
It's like, yeah, I can't deal with this much out of the norm stuff.
Does anyone use our Discord anymore? We have a Discord. So
I forget to turn the notifications off, and I hear badoop 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 badoop
okay,
badoop.
cool. So I'm glad to see
Sometimes.
that's still going. I haven't been able to spend as much time on the MacYack Discord as I would like because of every other freaking Discord out there. But that's just how it is. But yes, we do have a Discord, so go and check that out if you would like. And of course, what's the other thing we always mention?
We're not mentioning the website anymore.
Yeah, it's sad.
We are going to mention Tinker Different online resource. I think we may have even broken 1,000 members of that one. the other day.
Ooh, nice.
Let me have a look here. It's coming along really well. We're heading for a sort of board elections soon. We potentially could have a new board. We have a new light-colored theme for it, which I'm using and I really enjoy. And we are sitting at 956 members, so we're getting pretty darn close to 1,000. So
are you guys getting rid of that pesky vice president you all got?
Oh, we have to. Yeah.
First stories, man.
We're just
Bruce and I are
carrying
a
the.
package deal. We're both gonna be booted out. Going out. for
Yeah.
drinks.
It's all going to be very telling because we've got voting coming up, and it's like if none of us get any votes, it's like, aha, they really like this. Yeah, we'll see. Anyhow, Tinker Different, check it out. It's awesome. And for goodness sake, if you're out for technical support for something, people send me emails all the time saying, "Hey, can you tell me how to fix this?" And I just say, go to Tinker Different. You will get a faster, better response going there than asking me. I can't answer. I don't have time to answer stuff like that. So
I think Jeremy had a question earlier. I referred him there.
I have a note on my phone, and I just copy and paste it whenever someone tweets me or something. And I'm just like, no, just go there.
check out Tinker Different.
Now you all know the personalized responses you get from Steve are stored in notes.
Exactly, especially when it says, "Please don't message me about tech support," and people don't read that and they do it anyway. So that's what they get.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's probably it for us. So we probably just need to do this last little
Smash that like button.
And of course, we need a little cat down.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that's all good. So and then I will then hand it over to Mike, who is of course going to sign us out. So I'll say see you later, everyone. We'll be back in a fortnight. Hope